immediately implied a thing. The Venus Hottentot, I knew what it was. Do you know what the implies a thing? What the implies a thing. So the subject was I'll start the English class. So I straight up lied. I said no because I wanted to see where it was going. I really did. Um, so Miss Lady explained that she was the Venus Hottentot, that is, that she was a black woman with a big behind. That was the extent of her lesson for me, who quote unquote did not know who the Venus Hottentot was. Um, right. So because I wanted to see where it was going on it, and she asked, and she said, it was a black woman with a big behind, and then her next question was this: thus, you ready? Why do so many black people have such big behinds? But she left out the part about the Venus Hottentot, where they prostituted the poor woman, gave her diseases, where they put her on display, and thought it would think it delightful to portray her Libya and everything else. So because it was all so big and all so different, it was not. It wasn't. All right. She forgot to leave out the parts where she would work for nothing and would eventually become quite popular, and would learn how to manage herself, but she was still a black woman in Europe, and she still had to figure out how to make money. So, in addition, so whatever she learned with reference, and she was a young woman when they started doing this to her. So when she learned how to do this, the next and easiest way for her to make money and continue living, and she also had a child, by the way. Um, that passed. Um, the quickest thing that she could figure in reference to making money and staying alive, and keeping a roof over her head and food on her table was to prostitute herself. So she left out all of that part. But anyhow, so my answer, I answered with as diplomatically as I could, um, and as gentle as my voice would allow me to get without sounding all um, distorted with anger. I tell her we are all different, and I had to say it. Some of us are blessed with a shape, and some of you were not. And again, if you understood what I just said, if you ask me an offensive question, I am not going to offend you, but I will let you know what class you belong in. We were blessed, and you were not. Well, we were, I don't know, we just need to embrace each other, although I say that, and not hyperbolize the differences so much. You know, Missy left my house that night, which was weird because I was the one who should have been offended. And I needed to say that. Um, what I have read about I just wanted to ask, so last week when we had our show, did you remember to share the video? Not on my page, on your page. Yeah, did you share it on your page? Because that's really good. That's what be that's like a warm hug for the show. I hope you did that. And if you haven't done it, make sure you do it right now, okay guys? See you soon. 1 2 Talk It Off, 7 o'clock Mondays, Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. There we go. Yay. My name is Kareen Carlton, and I'm here to talk a little bit today about Black history, and we're going to put a little switch on the, not just discuss Black history, but we will go through a couple of things. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm also a child of God, so my focus is on God himself. No matter what, everything else is secondary, and my aim is to make sure that he gets all the glory one way or the other. So let's jump right in and talk a little bit about Black History Month. We are just going to look at, has Black history, the whole celebration of it, has it evolved to be inclusive? And then have we basically developed a measure of inclusivity as well? Now, I hope I can do this hand juggling thing to please you guys a little bit. Okay, so with Black History Month, we know that this story began. Oh, that's beautiful. That's great. It does look better with it off. You can see, can everyone see it better? Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna read this really quickly. The story of Black History Month begins in 1915, a century and a half a century, after the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. That September, the Harvard-trained historian Carter Woodson and the prominent minister Jesse Moreland founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, an organization dedicated to researching and promoting achievements by Black Americans and other people of African descent, known today as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. The group sponsored a National Negro Week in 1926, choosing the second week of February, which is coming up, to coincide with birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The event inspired schools. That
might be louder.
Thank you. We really should call them tools, because that's what our students use to make sure that they can get ahead in life. So it inspired schools and communities nationwide to organize local celebrations, to establish history clubs and host performances and lectures as we are having right now. It does sound a little better, doesn't it? So right here, this is actually a video I want to share with you. And I have to tell you exactly where I got it from. I did some researching. You know, the internet is a fantastic and powerful tool. And this video that I'm going to show you is on Carver. How many of you know Carver? Know his name at least? Nothing, if nothing else, seen his picture somewhere? Know what he's about? Yeah? Okay. So Carver was a prominent, well, not at all prominent, because he lost his parents and everything in a bad way, but he was able to find some very useful things to do with peanut oil, as well as soy, and then he had diesel and everything else that he was able to develop. Now, The thing I love about this, I found this out a number of years ago because part of my background is in massage therapy, and I used a variety of essential oils. And then I discovered peanut oil on the shelf, and I was like, I found out that peanut oil is very good for arthritic pains, and it's also very good for muscular issues as well. And I'm going to go ahead and just play this video for you so that you can learn a little bit more about George Washington Carver. Hi. So I just wanted to ask, so last week when we had our show, did you remember to share the video? Not on my page, on your page. Yeah, did you share it on your page? Because that's really good. That's like a warm hug for the show. I hope you did that. And if you haven't done it, make sure you do it right now, okay guys? See you soon. 1, 2 Talk It Off, 7 o'clock Mondays, Eastern Standard Time.
Ideas regarding how to perform his experiments. In the summer of 1920, the Young Men's Association of Blue Ridge, North Carolina, invited Professor Carver to speak at their summer school for the southern states.
So I just want to pause for a quick second as we're looking at Carver and we think about all the different things that we're using on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we just consume them and don't think any further about how they came about. But if we look at even not just he struggled with developing it, but also the farmers struggled a little bit with developing it because they had to go through a little bit of suffrage to get the product that they had, that we have today.
Dr. Willis D. Weatherford, president of the Blue Ridge, introduced him as speaker. With his high voice surprising the audience, Dr. Carver explained humorously, "I always look forward to introductions as I always learn something about myself." He continued, "Years ago I went into my laboratory and said, 'Dear Creator, please tell me what the universe was made for.' And the great Creator answered, 'You want to know? Too much for that little mind of yours. Ask something more your size, little man.' Then he asked, 'Please, Creator, tell me what man was made for.' Again the Creator replied, 'You are still asking too much. Cut down on the extent and improve on the intent.' And so I asked, 'Please, Creator, will you tell me what the peanut was made for?' That's better, but even..."
Welcome to the story of liberty. George Washington Carver was born a slave during the Civil War, possibly in 1865, but there are no records to confirm this. Within a few weeks, his father, who belonged to the farm next door, was killed in a log hauling accident. Shortly after the Civil War, while still an infant, George, with his mother and sister, were kidnapped by bushwhackers. Moses Carver sent friends to track down the thieves and to trade his best horse to retrieve them. The thieves only left baby George lying on the ground, sick with the whooping cough. George never saw his mother and sister again. Illness claimed the lives of 2 of his other sisters, and they were buried on the Carver farm. George and his older brother Jim were raised in Diamond Cove, Missouri, by Uncle Moses and Aunt Sue Carver, a childless German immigrant couple. In poor health as a child, George stayed near the house helping with chores, learning to cook, clean, sew, mend, and wash laundry. His recreation time was to spend time in the woods. George worked his way through school, and eventually he ended up teaching on the staff at Iowa State College. In the fall of 1896, George surprised the staff at Iowa State College by announcing his plans to give up his promising future there and join the Institute in Alabama. The staff showed their appreciation for him by purchasing him a going-away present, a microscope, which he used extensively throughout his career. George assembled an agricultural department at Tuscany, and he visited nearby farmers and would show them farming techniques such as crop rotation, fertilization, and erosion prevention. Carter noticed that the soil was depleted due to years of repeated cotton growth and produced very poorly. During his time, an insect swept through the South, destroying cotton crops and leaving farmers absolutely devastated. George showed the farmers the benefits of crop rotation and planting different things such as peanuts, which replenished the soil with nitrogen. Farmers heeded Carver's advice, but soon had more peanuts than the market wanted, as peanuts were primarily used as animal feed. George determined to find more uses for the peanut to increase the market for them. Carver discovered and popularized hundreds of uses for the peanut. He did the same for the sweet potato, the pecan, the soy pea, the cowpea, the wild plum, and okra. A partial list of items derived from the peanuts were compiled by the Carver Museum at Tuscany. Some beverages included blackberry punch, cherry punch, and lemon punch, peanut punch, and a beverage for ice cream, evaporated peanut beverage, dry coffee, instant coffee, and 32 different kinds of milk, including dehydrated milk flakes and buttermilk. Foods he developed were peanut butter, salted peanuts, peanut flour, peanut flakes, peanut meal, butter from peanut milk, breakfast food, cheese, cream cheese, crystallized peanuts, curds, potato nibs, golden nuts, and pancake flour, just to name a few. But how did George think to make all of these wonderful things just from simple farm ingredients? He prayed every time he entered his laboratory, which he named God's little workshop. He credited divine inspiration for giving him ideas regarding how to perform his experiments. In the summer of 1920, the Young Men's Association of Blue Ridge, North Carolina, invited Professor Carver to speak at their summer school for the southern states. Dr. Willis D. Weatherford, president of the Blue Ridge, introduced him as speaker. With his high voice surprising the audience, Dr. Carver explained humorously, "I always look forward to introductions as I always learn something about myself." He continued, "Years ago, I went into my laboratory and said, 'Dear Creator, please tell me what the universe was made for.' And the great Creator answered, 'You want to know? Too much for that little mind of yours. Ask something more your size, little man.' Then he asked, 'Please, Creator, tell me what man was made for.' Again, the Creator replied, 'You are still asking too much. Cut down on the extent and improve on the intent.' And so I asked, 'Please, Creator, will you tell me what the peanut was made for?' 'That's better, but even then, it's infinite. What do you want to know about the peanut?' 'Mr. Creator, can I make milk out of the peanut?' 'What kind of milk do you want? Good Jersey milk or just plain boarding house milk?' 'Good Jersey milk,' he replied. And then the great Creator taught me to take the peanut apart and put it together again. And out of this process came forth all of these products. Among the numerous products displayed was a bottle of good Jersey milk. 3.5 ounces of peanuts produce 1 pint of rich milk, or 1 quart of raw skim milk, called boarding house or Blue John milk. On January 21st, 1921, at the request of the United Peanut Growers Association, George W. Carver addressed the U.S. House Ways and Means Committee in Washington, D.C., regarding a proposed tariff on imported peanuts. George expounded on the many potential uses of the peanut as a means to improve the Southern economy. Initially given only 10 minutes to speak, George Carver so enthralled the committee that the chairman said, "Go ahead, brother. Your time is unlimited." George spoke for 1 hour and 45 minutes, explaining the many food products derived from the peanut. If you go to the first chapter of Genesis, we can interpret very clearly, I think, what God intended when he said, "Behold, I have given you every herb that bears seed. To you it shall be meat." This is what he means about it. It shall be meat. There is everything there to strengthen and nourish and keep the body alive and healthy. The committee chairman asked Carver, "Dr. Carver, how did you learn all these things?" And Dr. Carver replied, "From an old book." "What book?" asked the chairman. Carver replied, "The Bible." The chairman inquired, "Does the Bible tell us about peanuts?" "No, sir," Carver replied, "but it tells us about the God who made the peanut." I asked him to show me what to do with the peanut, and he did. On November 19th, 1924, Carver spoke to over 500 people at the Women's Board of Domestic Missions.
It had a lot to do with, obviously, everyone who was in charge.
Action doesn't interest me one single bit. On July 10th, 1924, George Washington Carver wrote to James Hardwick. This is what he wrote. "God cannot use you as he wishes until you come into fullness of his glory. Do not get alarmed, my friend, when doubts creep in. That is old Satan. Pray, 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 oh my friend. I am praying that God will come in and rid you entirely of self, so you can go out after souls right, or rather, have souls seek the Christ in you. This is my prayer for you always." Thank you for joining us at the Story of Liberty.
I just wanted to ask, so last week when we had our show, did you remember to share the video? Not on my page, on your page. Yeah, did you share it on your page? Because that's really good. That's what that's like a warm hug for the show. I hope you did that. And if you haven't done it, make sure you do it right now, okay guys? See you soon. 1 2 Talk It Off, 7 o'clock Mondays, Eastern Standard Time. So George Washington Carver, he did so many simple things that we use in our everyday life, including just using one of these staples that's quite tasty unless you are allergic. I did have someone say, what if you're allergic to peanuts? Just avoid it. But that was just one of the things I wanted to share with you guys today. And the fact that he was so encouraging to other people around him. So we're still looking at Black History Month and the celebration of it and its evolution. Has it occurred, or have we experienced any bit of evolution at all in our attitudes, as well as basically celebrating this month? Just quickly, I just want to mention a couple of things. 1962 and now are really contrasting times. And we know this because with both the changes that would have occurred, you would have some really vast and obvious changes, and then you have some really mild changes, some changes that you can notice, and then there are others that don't look as though anything has changed at all. So we know that Black History Month was instigated by Carter Woodson, and the Association for the Study of Negro Life in history in 1926. So let's look at some of the changes that have occurred over the past few decades regarding Black history and the observation of its distinct moments. So for Black History Month, or as some of us may not choose to call it, because not everyone wants to call it Black History Month anymore. Black History Month, just make sure I got this here. Got to juggle two of these together. Black History Month, or African American History Month, in North America and the UK. And when I say North America, I'm referring to Canada as well as the United States. They pay noticeable attention to the numerous significant, or should I say important people and events in history of the African diaspora. And so who are these people? When you think about them, can we say that there is one race of people that can be called such when we are now a many one? And if you think about all of us, many of us have come from various places, and we are so mixed into each other. Sometimes we really have to wonder if we are so different after all. So the African diaspora is what we call the societies across the world that would have some measure of African in them. These societies are seen across the world, especially the Caribbean, the Americas. We have Europe. We even have in the Middle East. And many have left their homes and are on the daily grind to support their families freely. And I use that word strongly because a lot of the times they leave where they are so that they can come to a place where they can feed their children, feed their families without restriction, to do as much as they can, as long as they can, as often as they can, the best way that they can. And you know, if you find an individual who's willing to share their story with you, and you sit down and you listen to their story, you'd realize that the activities may not be the same, but the end result that everyone is looking for is quite different. And I just want to share with you a couple of things. Actually, I actually found this photo and just wanted to show you guys that anybody was willing to do anything to make sure that their family was supported somehow, one way or the other. Hi, welcome guys. So because we are so different and we go through so many different things, a lot of the times we become very comfortable with each other, and we also understand there's some things that we can do to hurt others. I know these words are very small. I'm going to explain to you what those words are in a minute. So how do we speak to each other? This is what these words are. Have we used language? Okay. Have we used language that we know we should change on a daily basis? And not just towards African Americans, but everyone, the youth, the senior, women, men, blue collar, white collar, everybody, the wealthy, the poor, everybody. Many things that we think it's okay to say back then are not so okay to say right now. For example, there are some people who would like to change the observation of the month from Black History Month to African American History Month. Hey, but you know, back then the name given wouldn't have been considered offensive now, but back then it was called Negro History Month, and nowadays that is not so politically correct to use. So if we think about the different words that we use now, if we look at a number of other changes that have taken place, we will realize that a lot of it is really for the better of our various societies. It's not just for African Americans, it's not just for Asian, it's for every single body. It encourages respect and it removes the subtle dehumanizing that we use on a regular basis. It really just removes it after a while. So this change that we're talking about today is noticeable in various terms, whether or not they are terms of endearment, applying the use of labels, because really that's what it is. When you're calling someone a name other than the name that they were given at birth, you are applying a label to them. And it can be, you can use these labels anywhere, anytime, just like you can call my name, hi Kareen, that's my label so that I can be identified. There might be another 10 or 15 Kareens in the world, but when you know me personally, you know that I am Kareen. If you meet another Kareen, you can distinguish somehow, somewhere between me and that other Kareen. And we have some terms that are accepted. They may not be the right terms, but somehow we have been able to palette them over the years. And the titles and labels that we use, as I mentioned before, can really discourage. They can be really discouraging, but we can also choose terms that are gentle, that are encouraging, that are uplifting and complimentary. And we all know that there are some names others use to describe even our seniors in our society. And I know some of you can think of some of those terms that people would use on a regular basis. So what else has changed and how did it happen for our betterment? I know some of you remember when having seniors close to us in the extended family. We don't have much extended families nowadays. Some cultures do have it, but some of them don't have it. But you will remember, you will always know where you came from when you have your the older people in your family that will tell you about certain things that would happen with your mother's brother, how they would fight or how they would help each other do stuff or how they would help each other learn. So it's not always the bad things. You learn where you came from, and you also learn some wisdom where you can then in turn pass on that wisdom to generations. And I know it seems as if we're going away from the history and stuff, but we're talking about how we have evolved, learning and understanding the entire package of the history of African American and how we are basically connecting with each other, cooperating with each other, encouraging one another one way or the other. And when we have our generations passing on information from one another from one to another, and the Bible also talks about the young men being taught by the old men and the young women being taught by the older women, and that was way back when, 2,000 years ago or something. So that should be evident today still. But this is the question that comes in: have we evolved in all the celebrations that we would have for things that we've been emancipated from and everything? Have we really changed and put these things into our society and our culture? And as we grow and we understand and we learn, and the key word here is really understanding, we capture life in our time here, and here meaning on this earth, and use that to understand what life is. And honestly, we don't always get it. We don't always figure out what life is really telling us, but you do understand some aspects of life. And it's a matter of what you do, how you apply that life. So how much do we understand when it comes to life? And I know many of you in here can understand what I'm saying. You have certain philosophies that you use. You have certain things that you practice that help to guide you through your life. Does anybody want to share their philosophy in life with me? What's your philosophy in life? I'm going to bring this microphone over to you, and I want two other people to tell me what their philosophy in life is. I'm going to bring it across to you so that everyone else can hear you as well.
We are only human, so we can never understand perfectly, but we try our best. And the best way is to love our neighbor and love our life. That is my philosophy.
See, you're fallible and we need to love each other. Does anybody else want to share their philosophy in life? What's your name? Tell me what's your name.
My mother taught me this, that I should like everybody as they are, and not to dislike anybody because of any outside reason, like race or religion or whatever. Because as a Jew, we are the best people to be discriminating.
Yeah, the Jews were good to running around, were they? The desert, huh? Yeah, we've all had our problems. Anybody else want to share their philosophy that they have in life? What's your philosophy? What's your name? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's what the Bible says as well. So everybody is sharing my philosophy as well, following the Bible. That's pretty much it. And I'm realizing that everybody is reading up on the word And if you think about those philosophies that you guys just shared, you'd realize that that can actually help other people as well. Because if somebody sees that you're willing to be kind to them, obviously, how much are they going to be willing to be harsh to you? If you think about it. So you see, our previous generations, and even in generations, I'm looking at you because you're a generation before me, and there was a generation before you as well. So our previous generations teach us, and we really, really need to listen to what those generations are telling us. When we hear stories of Black History Month and learn about the famous African Americans that have impacted our society in various ways, one way or the other, you know, what have we done with this information that we have received? We've heard of George Washington Carver, and what he's done with the peanuts, and he's done with the soy, and what he's done with his science and technology background. What have we done with it other than just use the product? You know, have we realized that we can take the initiative and be innovative in things that we are doing, not just as African Americans, but as people? We are all people in here with information that we can share with others. So we need to be able to share that information as much as we can. You know, we must be able to individualize that information. It's not just a matter of telling a large group of people, hey, come on, let's do this, you know, let's form a big group and let's go out there and tell the masses. Sometimes we just really need one person, each one of us, to be able to be better, to do better, to develop ourselves, and to love. We hear this, we go back to hippie times, they go, oh, they're hippies. No. We need love even up to today. We have to have love in our hearts for each other, and think about how each and every one of us can be impactful on one other person's life. It doesn't have to be a group of people. It can just be one person at a time where you are deciding that you're going to be impactful in that person, showing them how much you care with simple things like telling that one person, good morning, or hi, good afternoon. You know, my nephew has a thing, and children do it. My nephew has a thing, he would pass you and he'd say, hi. No. If you're gonna say hi, followed up with hi, good morning, hi, good afternoon. And if you're gonna ask somebody, how are you? Don't, hey, how are you? And move on. No, you pause, you wait. Hi, how are you? Wait for them to respond. Because a lot of times, that 30 seconds of, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm doing good today was way better than yesterday. Yesterday was crappy, but let me tell you, oh, I understand, but you have a good day now, okay? 30 seconds. What did that take off of you? You know, sometimes we just need to just take a little bit out of ourselves and pass on to others, and it might freak a few people out. It just might. They might look at you weird, you know. So let the evolution of the observance be one where we see development in our individual lives. Okay? Now, I don't know how we're going to do this. Russell, are you going to help me again with this one? Okay. So we haven't gone there yet. So we know that we have to be nice to each other. All right? And it's more than just tolerance. Because somebody is being irritating or rude, it's more than just being tolerant of behavior. It's a matter of being nice. The Bible, as you guys were saying just now, it tells us about being nice to each other. You know, let us see each other as human, and give a little piece of you. And I can promise you that you are not going to die from generosity. I haven't met anyone who's died from generosity. Have you? Seen? No? Yeah, I've never seen it in the newspaper either. So, you know, you'll be thought of, and you'll be considered, and you'll be remembered when you think of and consider and remember other people. And this will actually help you to go into how we can help you. This is actually it's helping me to go into how we can help others, and not want them to do, and wanting them to do what we want. But which is a bad thing, but it's also going to show sometimes you just need to let go of what you want other people to do and let them do what they want. So I need one volunteer to come and stand. Who can stand for me and do a little bit of walking? No one's gonna stand? Okay, that's good. I need a second volunteer to come and stand for me. Anyone willing to stand? Can you come forward? You can? Okay, come on. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. And tell me your name again. You told me just now. Myrna. And Nancy. So Myrna is gonna stand right where she is right now. And Myrna is going to try to walk across the room. No, I'm sorry. She's going to try to go in a circle. Now, what she's going to do, Nancy's going to be behind her, and she's going to have her arms where she cannot pass Nancy's arms. She cannot touch Nancy's arms. And Nancy's going to be walking in a straight line.
In front of her.
So, Myrna, you're going to try to walk in a straight circle. In a circle. That's fine. Nancy, you're going to stand behind her like this. Okay. Now, Myrna, you can walk in your circle, but if her hand is here, you can't go to the left to the right. Right. That's all I needed. Thank you so much. Now, you'd realize that this is what you have these subliminal control methods. Oh no, you're trying to control her, aren't you? You see? Perfect example of it. You know, she's helping her back, so now she has to control the direction that she's going in and everything. So Nancy has the way that she wants her to go. Myrna wants to go in her own direction. And a lot of times we want to regulate others, or we want to control others, and they have their own direction that they want to go to. But this brings me to the question of the evolution of African American Month, Black History Month, as you choose to call it. Are we there yet with the evolution and understanding what the celebration of it is? Are we trying to control people? Are we just still hating on people? And do we understand that we are all created equal? Do we understand that we can't really control people? This is what we have, the thought of Black History Month. It is to sensitize populations of the struggle that many people of color would have gone through, and more specifically blacks. It also affords the opportunity of celebration from a period of a system of inhumane control. So the question again is, are we there yet? I want to find out from you, what are your thoughts on being controlled? What do you think when you think of someone who wants to tell you what to do, tell you where to go, tell you how to dress, tell you what to say, tell you how fast to do it, tell you when to stop, and tell you when to start? Does anybody like that? No. No. You know, it's one of those things that I don't know. And yes, we have to do it with kids because they have to be nurtured and they have to be guided. But that guidance stops so that you eventually are able to make your own decision. But when you're an adult with your brain fully formed and everything, do you really want somebody telling you how fast to blink, how fast to spit, how fast to drink, how slow to walk? You really don't want that. And a lot of the times we really don't have a positive feeling about being controlled. Here's the thing though. Wouldn't it feel better being guided versus being restricted and limited? There's a difference in someone controlling what you do versus someone guiding you in what you are supposed to do or what would benefit you. And a lot of the times when someone is controlling you, it's taken in a negative light when you are being told what to do. And this is what we're doing here today, listening and being guided and understanding how we can really develop and have a positive outlook when it comes to the history that controlled people, a group of people, for so long. And I know many of you can identify with that history of being controlled and being dehumanized and everything. When we open ourselves to listen and understand what is going on around us and open our hearts to other people as well, it reduces the possibility of being controlled. And you see, we're we're doing it as individuals we all have the same goal and we're growing, we see the benefit a lot better and a lot faster. So we've established that we really just need to grow together. We established that we really just need to be nice. And being nice really doesn't take much. The biggest part of being nice is chipping away at that big block that you had that was stopping you from being very nice at all. Sometimes when we see that we are growing and we're really trying to grow, and even with the aspect of Black History Month, and we realize that we're not getting very far. Sometimes when we become discouraged and exasperated, or just plain old frustrated because we don't seem to be getting very far in the things that we're trying to do, and it becomes evident to people around us when we are becoming frustrated as well with the struggles of our everyday, and seeing the lack of development in certain aspects of our society can only add to the frustration that we would experience. Thank you so much. And a little bit of that regression, if you look at the fighting and the killing that's going on in our society, and we look at the sheer terror that some people are just raining on other people, other groups, other individuals. We just had some news about a guy who decided, well, he can't see his daughter, so he killed mother and daughter. That's not nice, and that had nothing to do with race at all. You know, we're just humans inflicting terror on humans, and for simple reasons, things that are really not necessary at all. And it really causes us to cringe. It causes your heart to just bleed sometimes. And if you decide with every effort, we let every single person, one person at a time, promise to be the one that does the right thing, what do you think our result is going to be? If every single person decides, I'm going to be good, I'm going to do the right thing, oh, I'm going to say good morning. Right. Anyhow, so Ruth, all of those small things can make someone feel really warm and make you feel really human sometimes. It really doesn't take much. So the general population may not be there yet when it comes to understanding that the control and the evil that went on, we should be coming out of that, but it seems as though we have a new form of control. So we may not be there yet, but one human at a time can reduce the length of time it takes to get there. And the evolution of being kind and gentle will not be that far away. It might be right here where we are right now. So let's not let our progress regress by our insufficient heartedness, and let it spread to in our personal lives and our professional lives and our social lives and every aspect of it. You know, it's really good when we can just join together and realize that we can all just be one in some aspect of our lives. So I'm going to thank you. And I do hope that we can all realize how just simply being kind and gentle and the small things in life can really make a difference. You know that saying where they say, don't sweat the small stuff. But if you don't sweat a lot of small stuff become really big stuff. So let's tell some people some highs and some good mornings and some how are yous, and just pause for a second and just be nice and be kind. Thank you so much for having me today. wanted to ask. So last week when we had our show, did you remember to share the video? Not on my page, on your page. Yeah, did you share it on your page? Because that's really good. That's what that's like a warm hug for the show. I hope you did that. And if you haven't done it, make sure you do it right now, okay, guys? See you soon. 1 2 Talk It Off, 7 o'clock Mondays, Eastern Standard Time. Than Mia Motley when we come back. Hi. So I just wanted to ask, so last week when we had our show, did you remember to share the video? Not on my page, on your page. Yeah, did you share it on your page? Because that's really good. That's like a warm hug for the show. I hope you did that. And if you haven't done it, make sure you do it right now, okay, guys? See you soon. 1 2 Talk It Off, 7 o'clock Mondays, Eastern Standard Time. Hi. We're back. Wait, hold on. I gotta pull this up. Okay, here we go. All right, guys. All right, so we're talking about to the Right Honorable Mia Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados. She's got a number of accolades. Another attorney. So we've had Eugenia Charles, Margaret Thatcher, RBG, and it seems like all of the women of that I'm speaking about. No, it seems like that is so crazy. But all the women that we're speaking of tonight are attorneys. And again, I got to make sure that you guys can hear me. Yes. And I see that you can hear me. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the Right Honorable Mia Motley. I really wanted to share so much more with you guys about her, but with the limitations of time, that's not going to happen tonight. So let me just start with this. Some people know hearing about Mia Motley. If you did ever, I really should. No, let me talk properly. Because that's actually, let me talk properly. If you know, I can't talk properly because I wanted this right. If you know here about the Honorable Right Mia Motley, you did under a rock. You understand? First of all, I have to mention that, wait, so Margaret Thatcher, I think Margaret Thatcher was also October born. Yeah, Margaret Thatcher's birthday is like about 7 days after mine. I mean, Motley's October 1st. Right, so October born day, yes. What happened? I want to be a prime minister. Not really. I don't want to be a prime minister. So Mia Motley, 19, I'm not going to tell her age. She's born October 1st, and you guys can always find it anyhow. And she has been in politics for a while and a half, and she is also an attorney. So a politician and attorney, obviously. And when she came into politics under the BLP, Barbados Labour Party. So we've got the DLP and the BLP. So it's the Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party. And I don't remember, I can remember the year. I think she started in 1994. And she wasn't, her party wasn't, when she joined politics, her party wasn't in power then. Were they? I think they came into politics, they came into power after that. I'm not too sure, but I can always confirm that. But anyhow, so she came in 1994, and her party was in power in 1994. I'm lost. I'm not lost. What am I saying? I'm not lost. So her party wasn't in, but then she won the next election, and then so from 94 to 2000.